Good evening. Let's start with a hard truth. As we age, our muscles don't just get weaker, they literally atrophy. This process, called sarcopenia, is one of the most overlooked threats to longevity and quality of life after 60. The good news is that this decline isn't inevitable. Today, I want to focus on one of the most powerful tools we have to fight it: protein. Not just any protein, but cheap, accessible proteins that rebuild muscle efficiently and help reverse sarcopenia faster than most people think possible. Here's the thing: most people over 60 underestimate how much protein they actually need. Your body doesn't respond to minimal protein the way it did in your 20s. To maintain and rebuild muscle, you need higher quality sources and a strategic distribution throughout your day. Surprisingly, some of the most effective proteins are not expensive powders or exotic superfoods. Think eggs, beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, canned tuna, and even milk. These are affordable, widely available, and incredibly effective if used correctly. The key isn't just protein alone, it's how you combine it with resistance training. Your muscles need a stimulus to grow. Protein provides the building blocks, but strength training provides the signal. Even simple exercises like bodyweight squats, resistance bands, or lifting modest weights can create a powerful anabolic response when paired with protein. Rich meals. For someone over 60, this combination isn't optional. It's essential. Without it, sarcopenia accelerates, leading to frailty, falls, and loss of independence. Now, here's a strategy I often recommend. Aim for 30 grams of protein at each meal, spread evenly across the day. That could be 2 eggs and a small yogurt for breakfast, a can of tuna mixed with beans for lunch, and lentils with cottage cheese for dinner. These meals are inexpensive, accessible, and they provide a complete amino acid profile necessary for muscle repair and growth. The magic is in consistency. It's not about a single protein shake. It's about a sustained habit that fuels your body daily. I also want to highlight a concept that's often overlooked: timing. Protein intake post-exercise is crucial because that's when your muscles are most receptive to growth. Even 20-30 grams of a cheap, high-quality protein immediately after resistance training can amplify muscle rebuilding dramatically. And while supplements can help, they are rarely necessary if your diet is planned correctly. This is empowering because building muscle and fighting sarcopenia doesn't require a fortune. It requires a strategy, discipline, and understanding your body's needs. So here's the take. Home, cheap proteins exist. They are highly effective, and when combined with the right exercises and timing, they can dramatically slow or even reverse muscle loss after 60. Sarcopenia is not a sentence, it's a challenge, and one you can confront with knowledge and consistent action. Remember, the goal isn't just adding years to your life, it's adding life to your years. By focusing on protein, strength, and smart nutrition, you can maintain mobility, independence, and vitality long into your later decades. You don't need expensive supplements or complicated regimens. You need understanding, discipline, and action. The choice is yours, and the science is on your side. Sarcopenia is not inevitable. Age-related muscle loss is real, but it can be slowed, stopped, and even reversed with the right approach. You are not powerless over your body. Protein is your most powerful tool affordable. Everyday proteins like eggs, beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, milk, and tuna can rebuild muscle. You don't need fancy powders or expensive superfoods, just consistent, smart choices. Consistency beats intensity alone. It's not about one heroic workout or a single protein shake. Daily habits, properly timed protein intake, and regular strength training create lasting results. Strength training is non-negotiable. Muscle doesn't grow from diet alone. Your muscles need stimulus to respond. Even simple resistance exercises at home can trigger profound improvements. Strategic timing matters. Protein intake post-exercise accelerates muscle repair. Use the window after training to maximize the effect of every meal. Affordable solutions are effective. You don't need to spend a fortune to fight sarcopenia. Cheap, accessible foods provide the building blocks your body needs. Knowledge and discipline are more valuable than expensive supplements. Empowerment through action. Building muscle after 60 is a choice. Every meal, every workout, every decision matters. Small, consistent actions compound into strength, vitality, and independence. Life over longevity. The goal isn't just to live longer, it's to live better. Maintaining muscle ensures mobility, confidence, and quality of life in your later years. Knowledge is your advantage. Understanding how your body changes with age and what interventions are most effective gives you a powerful edge. You are not at the mercy of time. You can shape your trajectory. Start today, not tomorrow. The earlier you implement these strategies, the stronger and more resilient your body will be. Every day counts, and it's never too late to begin. Most people over 60 wake up one day and notice that the stairs feel steeper, the walk to the mailbox longer, or that simple tasks require more effort than they used to. It's easy to accept these changes as inevitable, a natural consequence of aging. But here's the reality: the muscle loss you are experiencing, the gradual weakening of strength, balance, and endurance, is not an unavoidable destiny. Sarcopenia, the age-related decline in muscle mass and function, is a condition that can be slowed, halted, and even reversed, but it requires knowledge, strategy, and deliberate action. Too many people fall into the trap of thinking that the decline in muscle after 60 is merely the way things are, when in fact, much of it is preventable and treatable with relatively simple interventions. The first step is understanding that you are not powerless. The human body is remarkably adaptable, even in later decades. Muscles are not inert. They respond to stress, nutrition, and movement at any age. The concept that aging muscles are permanently doomed is a myth, one that has been perpetuated by cultural narratives rather than scientific evidence. Every day, research shows us that older adults who engage in targeted resistance training and meet their protein requirements demonstrate significant gains in muscle mass, strength, and functional capacity. The notion that you cannot rebuild muscle after 60 is simply wrong. You may not regain the exact muscle mass of your 20s, but you can achieve meaningful improvements that translate directly to independence, mobility, and quality of life. Consider the psychological impact of believing that muscle loss is inevitable. When people accept this myth, they often reduce their activity levels, consciously or unconsciously, accelerating weakness and frailty. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. On the other hand, when you embrace the truth that muscle can be rebuilt, you activate a mindset of empowerment. You begin to see every movement, every meal, and every decision as an opportunity to reclaim strength. This mindset shift is crucial. It is the difference between a body that declines passively and a body that improves actively. Research consistently demonstrates that older adults engaging in regular resistance exercise not only increase muscle mass, but also improve insulin sensitivity, cardiovascular health, bone density, and even cognitive function. The benefits are systemic, extending far beyond the superficial appearance of strength. You might wonder if starting at 60 or later is too late. The science is clear. It is never too late. Studies on older adults in their 70s and 80s have shown remarkable improvements in muscle size and function with appropriately designed training programs. Even modest, incremental increases in strength can dramatically reduce the risk of falls, fractures, and loss of independence. Imagine the simple tasks that suddenly feel easier: lifting groceries, climbing stairs, carrying a grandchild. These gains are not theoretical. They are measurable, meaningful, and life-changing. The body's adaptability, however, is contingent upon the interventions you choose. Muscle fibers require adequate protein, sufficient stimulus through resistance exercises, and consistency over time. Neglecting any of these elements slows progress, but including them, especially in combination, can create significant improvements even in later years. The process is cumulative, and small, deliberate actions compound over time. One well-structured workout, one protein, rich meal, one extra set of repetitions may seem minor in isolation, but collectively they create a trajectory of growth rather than decline. Understanding that sarcopenia is not inevitable transforms fear into opportunity. The idea that aging automatically means weakness and dependency is a false narrative. Muscle is dynamic, resilient, and responsive to intervention. Your age is not a ceiling, it is simply another variable in the equation. By recognizing the potential for muscle restoration and taking deliberate action, you reclaim control over your health and independence. The choice is yours to fight sarcopenia proactively and redefine what it means to grow older. Protein is not just another nutrient, it is the fundamental building block of life, the cornerstone of muscle health, and one of the most powerful tools to combat sarcopenia. For those over 60, the role of protein becomes even more critical, because your muscles no longer respond to small amounts the way they did in your 20s or 30s. This is what scientists call anabolic resistance. Your body requires more protein to stimulate the same level of muscle synthesis. Yet, the good news is that this is not a limitation, it is an opportunity. By strategically increasing and distributing protein intake, you can maximize muscle repair, stimulate growth, and regain strength that many believe is lost forever. What's truly remarkable is that you don't need expensive powders or exotic foods to achieve this. Affordable, widely available sources of protein, such as eggs, beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, milk, and canned tuna, and provide every essential amino acid your body needs. This means that the tools to fight sarcopenia are within reach of nearly everyone, regardless of income or lifestyle. The misconception that older adults cannot build muscle is often reinforced by seeing young athletes consume protein supplements and imagining that only costly interventions work. But the science demonstrates that the quality and timing of protein, combined with consistent intake, is far more important than novelty or cost. Eggs, for example, are an inexpensive powerhouse of essential amino acids, rich in leucine, a critical trigger for muscle protein synthesis. Beans and lentils, while plant-based and affordable, can be paired with grains to form complete proteins, providing the full spectrum of amino acids necessary for effective muscle repair. Even milk, a staple in many households, offers a rich combination of whey and casein proteins that fuel both immediate and sustained muscle growth. When consumed strategically throughout the day, these foods provide the stimulus your muscles need to adapt, grow, and maintain strength. One of the most compelling aspects of protein for older adults is its dual effect on strength and metabolic health. Adequate protein intake not only rebuilds muscle, but also improves insulin sensitivity, supports bone density, and preserves physical function. This means that every protein-rich meal becomes an investment in independence, resilience, and longevity. The key is not just quantity but distribution. Research consistently shows that spreading protein intake evenly across meals maximizes muscle protein synthesis. Consuming 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal, rather than loading most of it into a single dinner, ensures that your body has a constant supply of building blocks throughout the day, enhancing repair and growth. Many people over 60 shy away from increasing protein intake out of fear of kidney strain or digestive discomfort. However, for healthy adults, these concerns are largely overstated, and the benefits of adequate protein far outweigh potential risks. The goal is not extreme consumption, but a thoughtful, sustainable approach that your body can utilize efficiently. Pairing protein consistency is the silent powerhouse behind every meaningful change in health and muscle preservation, particularly after the age of 60. Many people approach fitness and nutrition with a sporadic mindset, hoping that occasional effort will yield dramatic results. They chase the latest trends, perform an intense workout once a week, or consume a protein-rich meal here and there, only to feel frustrated when their muscles do not respond. The truth is that the body does not recognize occasional heroics. It responds to patterns, repetition, and sustained effort over time. Muscle growth and preservation are cumulative processes, and each action you take compounds in ways that are invisible in the short term, but transformative over months and years. What separates those who maintain strength and vitality in their later decades from those who do not is not genetics, age, or willpower alone. It is the commitment to consistent habits that reinforce the body's natural adaptability. To understand why consistency matters, consider the biology of muscle protein synthesis. Every meal and every workout is a signal to your muscles to repair and grow. When these signals are sporadic, the body cannot sustain the adaptation process. Conversely, when protein intake is distributed evenly throughout the day and combined with regular resistance training, your muscles are constantly engaged in rebuilding, strengthening, and adapting. This is why spreading protein across meals and maintaining a predictable exercise schedule is not trivial. It is the very foundation of reversing sarcopenia. Consistency ensures that the stimuli required for muscle growth are repeated frequently enough to create lasting structural and functional changes. Beyond the physiological benefits, consistency has a profound psychological impact. Developing a routine transforms actions from optional to habitual. When strength training becomes part of your daily or weekly rhythm, and when protein-rich meals are standard rather than occasional, adherence becomes effortless. Habits reduce decision fatigue, making it easier to maintain progress without relying on willpower alone. In essence, consistency compounds just as effectively as the biological responses it supports. One small, consistent effort repeated daily is far more powerful than occasional bursts of intensity followed by long periods of neglect. Consistency also creates measurable progress, which fuels motivation. Tracking protein intake, monitoring resistance training performance, and observing gradual improvements in strength or endurance provide feedback loops that reinforce behavior. Each incremental gain, whether lifting slightly heavier weights, completing one more repetition, or adding a bit more protein to your meals, is proof that your consistent efforts are producing results. This feedback transforms the abstract concept of fighting sarcopenia into tangible achievements, keeping you engaged and committed over the long term. It's important to recognize that consistency does not mean perfection. It means showing up repeatedly, even when circumstances are challenging. Missed workouts or imperfect meals do not erase progress. They are merely small deviations within a larger, intentional pattern. The goal is a sustainable, repeatable approach that prioritizes frequency, timing, and balance over intensity or perfection. This mindset shift is critical for older adults because the objective is not to achieve short-term extremes, but to build a foundation for decades of strength, mobility, and independence. Consistency also extends to recovery, sleep, and lifestyle habits, which are often overlooked. Muscles require not only stimulus and nutrients, but also time to repair and adapt. Regular sleep, stress management, and appropriate rest days reinforce the benefits of protein intake and resistance training, creating a holistic framework for long-term success. In short, consistency is not a single behavior. It is a comprehensive strategy that integrates every aspect of your life to support muscle health, energy, and vitality. By committing to consistent, deliberate actions, you harness the body's natural capacity for adaptation. You transform effort into results, chaos into structure, and small, repeated behaviors into enduring strength. This principle is the cornerstone of successful aging, and it is the defining difference between those who surrender to sarcopenia and those who actively defy it. Consistency is not just a habit, it is the engine that drives transformation, turning potential into tangible outcomes and creating a foundation for strength that lasts a lifetime. Strength training is often misunderstood, particularly among older adults, who may believe that lifting weights or performing resistance exercises is either too difficult or unnecessary after 60. This could not be further from the truth. Muscle is a dynamic tissue that responds to stimulus at any age, and resistance training is the most potent signal you can provide to prevent and reverse sarcopenia. The body does not differentiate between youth and age when it comes to the stimulus for muscle growth. It responds to challenge, tension, and progressive overload. Every repetition, every set, every lift sends a message to your muscles that they are needed, that they must adapt, grow stronger, and maintain function. Ignoring this signal is essentially telling your body that muscle mass is optional, which accelerates atrophy and frailty. This science is clear. Without resistance training, even optimal nutrition cannot fully counteract the loss of muscle strength and function that comes with aging. Many people fear that strength training is complicated or dangerous, but the reality is that exercises can be tailored to every ability level. Simple, accessible movements, bodyweight squats, push-ups against a wall, resistance band rows, or lifting modest free weights can produce profound benefits. The principle is not the absolute load, but the consistent stimulus and the progressive challenge over time. As you become stronger, your muscles adapt, your balance improves, and your confidence in daily activities grows. What may start as a small, manageable routine can evolve into a powerful regimen that dramatically alters your trajectory of aging. Strength training is not only about aesthetics or vanity, it is about survival, independence, and quality of life. Every pound of muscle you preserve or rebuild translates directly into functional strength. The ability to carry groceries, climb stairs without fatigue, rise from a chair unassisted, or maintain balance to prevent falls. Falls are the leading cause of injury and hospitalization in older adults, and resistance training is one of the most effective interventions to reduce this risk. In essence, every effort you make in the gym, or even in your living room, is an investment in autonomy, safety, and longevity. The beauty of strength training is that it also amplifies the effects of nutrition, particularly protein. When combined with adequate protein intake, resistance exercise triggers an anabolic response that stimulates muscle protein synthesis, ensuring that the nutrients you consume are directed toward repair and growth rather than wasted. Timing can enhance these effects. Consuming protein shortly after exercise maximizes the muscle building potential of both nutrition and movement. The synergy between strength training and nutrition cannot be overstated. One without the other limits your ability to regain and maintain muscle effectively. Moreover, strength training improves more than just muscle mass. It enhances bone density, supports joint integrity, improves insulin sensitivity, and boosts cardiovascular health. Cognitive benefits are also documented, with regular resistance exercise linked to improved mental clarity, memory, and mood. This is not a single benefit strategy, it is a systemic intervention that touches every aspect of health. By investing in strength training, you are investing in your overall resilience, vitality, and ability to thrive rather than merely survive. It's crucial to remember that progress does not require perfection or extreme intensity. Small, consistent increases in load, repetitions, or frequency create compound improvements over time. The goal is sustainable, enjoyable, and safe exercise that can be repeated consistently. Even modest strength gains translate into meaningful functional improvements, and these improvements create a positive feedback loop. As you become stronger, daily activities become easier, motivation grows, and adherence naturally increases. Strength training after 60 is not optional. It is non-negotiable for anyone serious about preserving independence and combating sarcopenia. It is a clear, evidence-based intervention that directly alters the trajectory of aging. Every session, no matter how small, is a message to your body that you intend to remain strong, mobile, and in control. By embracing resistance training, you reclaim agency over your body, defy age-related decline, and build a foundation of strength that empowers you in every aspect of life. Timing is one of the most underestimated aspects of building and preserving muscle after 60, yet it can dramatically influence the effectiveness of every effort you make. It is not enough to simply consume protein or perform resistance exercises at random intervals. Your muscles are most responsive during specific windows, and understanding this can turn ordinary meals and workouts into highly effective interventions against sarcopenia. Think of your muscles as highly trained employees who perform best when given tasks at the right moment. If you provide the stimulus and the building blocks at the wrong time, their potential is wasted. On the other hand, when protein intake and exercise are strategically aligned, the results are amplified, and each action compounds into measurable gains. Post-exercise is the most critical window for older adults. After a resistance training session, your muscles are primed to absorb amino acids and initiate repair and growth. This is a period of heightened sensitivity, sometimes called the anabolic window, during which consuming 20 to 40 grams of high-quality protein can maximize muscle protein synthesis. The difference may seem subtle, but over weeks and months, this timing can separate stagnant progress from noticeable strength gains. It is not about perfection or rigid schedules. It is about recognizing the opportunity to maximize the return on every workout and meal. Even a modest protein-rich snack immediately after training can dramatically enhance recovery, reduce muscle breakdown, and accelerate gains. Timing also extends beyond post-workout meals. Distributing protein evenly throughout the day ensures a consistent supply of amino acids to support repair and adaptation. Skipping protein at breakfast and lunch with the hope of compensating at dinner is a common mistake that limits muscle growth. Your body cannot make up for hours of inadequate intake with a single large meal. Instead, each meal is a strategic opportunity to stimulate your muscles, maintain nitrogen balance, and prevent catabolism. By structuring your day to include 25 to 30 grams of protein at multiple intervals, you create a repeated anabolic signal that reinforces the effects of resistance training and slows sarcopenia. Another element of timing is frequency and consistency of exercise. Muscles do not respond to sporadic effort. They require repeated stimuli over time. For older adults, 2 to 3 well-planned resistance sessions per week provide sufficient stress to maintain and build muscle without overtraining. Aligning these sessions with proper nutrition before and after ensures that every effort produces maximal benefit. Recovery periods are equally critical. Muscles need time to adapt and strengthen. The combination of consistent timing in both nutrition and exercise is what transforms small actions into meaningful, long-term outcomes. Strategic timing is also psychological. When you plan your meals and workouts intentionally, you create a sense of purpose and structure that reinforces adherence. It becomes easier to maintain these habits, knowing that each action has a scientifically optimized effect. You are no longer guessing, you are intervening in a targeted, evidence-based way. This sense of control is empowering, especially for older adults who may feel that age dictates inevitable decline. Timing allows you to reclaim agency, demonstrating that your actions directly influence the trajectory of your muscle health. Finally, timing is a tool for efficiency. As we age, recovery can take longer, and energy levels fluctuate. By aligning protein intake and exercise with the body's natural responsiveness, you maximize gains while minimizing wasted effort. Every meal, every workout, every decision can be strategically timed to provide the greatest return. This transforms what may seem like a daunting, overwhelming task into a manageable, purposeful plan. In the fight against sarcopenia, timing is not a minor detail. It is a force multiplier, converting consistent effort into powerful, measurable improvements that preserve strength, independence, and quality of life. One of the most empowering truths about combating sarcopenia after 60 is that effective solutions do not require vast wealth or expensive supplements. Many people assume that building muscle or preserving strength in later years demands costly protein powders, exotic foods, or specialized gym equipment. This assumption is not only misleading, it creates unnecessary barriers and excuses. The reality is that some of the most powerful, scientifically validated strategies for rebuilding muscle are accessible, affordable, and within reach of nearly everyone. Eggs, beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, canned tuna, milk, and even modest amounts of chicken or tofu provide complete protein, essential amino acids, and leucine, which is critical for stimulating muscle protein synthesis. These foods are widely available, inexpensive, and highly effective when integrated consistently into your diet. This is not about gimmicks, it is about understanding what works and using it reliably. The beauty of inexpensive protein sources is their versatility. Eggs can be boiled, scrambled, or baked into easy meals. Beans and lentils can be added to soups, salads, or stews. Greek yogurt can be paired with fruit or nuts for a nutrient-dense snack. Canned tuna offers a convenient option for lunch or dinner. By recognizing the power of these foods, older adults can achieve the same muscle-preserving and muscle-building benefits as those relying on expensive supplements. The key is planning, consistency, and portion control, ensuring that every meal provides adequate protein to fuel repair, adaptation, and growth. This approach empowers individuals to take control of their health without feeling financially burdened or overwhelmed by complicated regimens. Affordability also removes a psychological barrier. When people believe they need expensive or exotic interventions to make progress, they may delay action, rationalize inaction, or feel discouraged. By contrast, understanding that simple, inexpensive foods can deliver measurable results creates motivation and confidence. Every dollar spent on a can of tuna or a carton of eggs becomes an investment in strength, independence, and longevity. Every meal is a deliberate act of intervention against muscle loss, reinforcing the idea that sarcopenia is not inevitable but modifiable through accessible, actionable choices. Furthermore, inexpensive proteins often come with other health benefits. Eggs provide essential vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats. Beans and lentils are high in fiber, supporting digestive health and blood sugar regulation. Greek yogurt contributes probiotics that enhance gut health, which is increasingly linked to overall wellness and inflammation management. These foods are not only cost-effective, they are multi-functional, supporting broad aspects of health while simultaneously fueling muscle maintenance. This synergy amplifies their value, demonstrating that simple solutions can have complex, far-reaching effects on well-being. Accessibility is also critical for long-term adherence. A solution that is expensive, difficult to prepare, or hard to acquire is unlikely to be sustained over months and years, which is exactly what is required to combat sarcopenia effectively. Affordable protein sources eliminate this barrier, making it realistic to maintain consistent intake day after day, week after week, and month after month. Consistency, as we have discussed, is the engine of muscle preservation, and accessible foods ensure that this engine keeps running without interruption. Finally, understanding the power of cheap proteins shifts the narrative from limitation to empowerment. Age-related muscle loss is not a sentence, it is a challenge that can be met with knowledge, planning, and action. By recognizing that the tools to rebuild muscle are affordable, convenient, and effective, older adults reclaim agency over their bodies. They no longer need to wait for expensive interventions, trends, or complicated routines. Instead, they can act immediately, strategically, and confidently, knowing that each simple meal is a building block for strength, independence, and vitality. In this way, affordability is not just financial, it is transformative, enabling consistent action that delivers measurable, lasting results. Empowerment through action is the single most important mindset shift for anyone over 60 who wants to fight sarcopenia and reclaim strength. Many older adults believe that age dictates decline and that muscle loss, frailty, and reduced independence are inevitable. This belief creates a passive approach to health, where inaction becomes the default. The truth, backed by decades of scientific research, is that your body is remarkably adaptable, even in later decades. Every meal you eat, every resistance exercise you perform, Every decision you make about movement and nutrition is an opportunity to take control of your trajectory. This is what empowerment through action truly means, realizing that your habits, choices, and strategies directly influence the state of your health, your strength, and your independence. Muscle does not respond to intention alone, it responds to intervention. Simply wishing for strength or hoping that sarcopenia will spare you is insufficient. Action is required, and the good news is that the actions needed are accessible, measurable, and repeatable. Simple, deliberate effort, such as consuming 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at each meal, performing resistance exercises 2 to 3 times per week, and prioritizing recovery, can yield profound results when applied consistently. Each effort sends a signal to your muscles and your metabolism that you are committed to preserving function and vitality. The cumulative effect of these small, deliberate actions compounds over weeks and months, creating tangible improvements in strength, endurance, and functional independence. Empowerment through action also transforms mindset, which is a critical component of long-term success. When older adults recognize that their daily choices matter, they shift from a passive stance to an active stance, approaching exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle with purpose rather than obligation. This shift is self-reinforcing. Action creates results, results build confidence, and confidence motivates further action. It becomes a cycle of positive reinforcement, where each step forward strengthens both body and mind. By taking deliberate action, you are no longer a passive observer of aging. You are an active participant in your health, capable of influencing outcomes that were once thought to be predetermined. The psychological impact of empowerment through action cannot be overstated. Every time you lift a weight, choose a protein-rich meal, or prioritize movement, you are asserting control over your body and your future. This assertion is not trivial. It reinforces self-efficacy, resilience, and the belief that you are capable of change. For older adults, this sense of agency is transformative. It shifts focus from limitations imposed by age to opportunities created by deliberate choices. Muscle strength, functional capacity, and independence become rewards for consistent action, reinforcing the notion that sarcopenia is not a passive inevitability but a challenge to be met head-on. Action also creates momentum. One protein-rich meal, one workout, or one intentional decision may seem small in isolation, but when repeated daily, these efforts accumulate into measurable, meaningful results. The compounding effect of consistent action is one of the most powerful tools against age-related decline. It is far more effective than intermittent, sporadic efforts or reliance on external interventions alone. By prioritizing action over passivity, you harness the body's adaptive potential and create a trajectory of strength and resilience that can last decades. Ultimately, empowerment through action is about reclaiming agency, challenging the narrative of inevitable decline, and embracing the principle that your choices matter. Every meal, every exercise, and every decision is a statement that you will not surrender to sarcopenia or frailty. It is a commitment to independence, vitality, and longevity. By taking deliberate, consistent action, you transform potential into progress, fear into confidence, and the abstract threat of muscle loss into a concrete plan for strength, health, and an active, fulfilling life. Life after 60 is not just about longevity. It is about quality, independence, and the freedom to move, think, and engage fully with the world around you. The ultimate goal of combating sarcopenia and preserving muscle is not merely to add years to life, but to add life to years. Many older adults focus solely on survival, viewing aging as a period of inevitable decline, reduced mobility, and diminished capacity, but this perspective is both limiting and misleading. Maintaining muscle mass, strength, and functional capacity directly enhances daily life, enabling you to perform simple tasks with ease, enjoy hobbies that require physical activity, and remain independent in your home and community. Muscle is not just a cosmetic or athletic concern. It is the foundation of a life lived fully, and it is central to both autonomy and dignity. Consider the direct impact of even modest improvements in muscle strength. Lifting groceries, climbing stairs without fatigue, carrying a grandchild, or walking comfortably across a parking lot may seem mundane, but these activities define independence. Without sufficient muscle, every daily task becomes an obstacle, and reliance on others increases. The ability to move efficiently and confidently is synonymous with control over your life. This is why fighting sarcopenia is not a theoretical concern. It is a practical, actionable pathway to maintaining agency and avoiding the cascade of frailty, falls, and dependency that so often accompanies aging. Quality of life is also tied to confidence and mental resilience. Strong muscles provide more than physical capability, they reinforce self-efficacy. When you know that your body can support you, that you can rise from a chair without assistance, walk long distances, or carry out tasks that matter to you, it fosters a sense of empowerment and mental clarity. Conversely, declining strength can trigger anxiety, fear of falling, and social withdrawal, which in turn exacerbates physical deterioration. By investing in muscle maintenance and rebuilding, you are simultaneously investing in your psychological well-being, your social engagement, and your overall vitality. The connection between muscle health and longevity is equally profound. Muscle tissue is metabolically active, supporting glucose regulation, insulin sensitivity, and overall metabolic function. Preserving muscle can reduce the risk of chronic diseases such as diabetes, cardiovascular conditions, and obesity-related complications. In essence, muscle is not just a tool for daily function. It is a protective mechanism against systemic decline. Each action you take to build and preserve muscle, from strength training to protein intake, is an intervention that enhances both lifespan and healthspan, ensuring that the years you gain are functional, energetic, and independent. This focus on life over mere longevity also changes the way we approach interventions. Expensive supplements, extreme regimens, or fleeting fads are secondary to consistent, evidence-based strategies that support function. Affordable protein sources, resistance exercises, strategic timing, and lifestyle adjustments are far more powerful because they create lasting change rather than temporary spikes. They allow you to move with confidence, act with independence, and engage fully in the activities and relationships that give life meaning. The message is clear. The fight against sarcopenia is not just about muscles. It is about preserving your freedom, your autonomy, and your ability to participate fully in life. Strength and mobility are the currencies of independence, and investing in them pays dividends every single day. Every workout, every protein, rich meal, and every deliberate action contributes directly to the quality of your daily life. When you view muscle maintenance through this lens, it becomes not a chore or obligation, but a critical, empowering strategy to ensure that your later years are defined by vitality, capability, and the ability to live fully on your own terms. By prioritizing life over mere longevity, you shift the focus from fear to empowerment, from decline to possibility, and from passive survival to active engagement. Muscle is not merely an aesthetic concern. It is the foundation of an active, independent, and fulfilling life. Choices you make today will determine not only how long you live, but how well you live, and that distinction is the true measure of success in aging. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to combating sarcopenia and preserving strength after 60. Many older adults approach aging passively, accepting muscle loss, reduced mobility, and declining energy as inevitable. But the truth is that understanding the science behind muscle maintenance and the body's adaptive capacity gives you a decisive advantage. When you know what works, why it works, and how to apply it consistently, you are no longer at the mercy of time or circumstance. You become the architect of your own health trajectory. This is not abstract or theoretical, it is actionable. Knowledge transforms uncertainty into confidence and fear into purposeful action. The first aspect of this knowledge is understanding the mechanisms of muscle loss. Muscle atrophy with age is not a random event. It is the result of decreased physical stimulus, inadequate protein intake, hormonal changes, and lifestyle factors that reduce the body's anabolic responsiveness. By recognizing these contributors, you can strategically intervene. Resistance training is no longer optional. It is a requirement. Protein intake is not merely dietary. It is a critical signal for repair and growth. Sleep, stress management, and recovery are not indulgences. They are integral to allowing your muscles to adapt and strengthen. Knowledge allows you to see the problem clearly, which is the first step toward creating an effective, individualized solution. Equally important is understanding the role of actionable metrics and feedback. Monitoring strength gains, tracking protein intake, and observing functional improvements are concrete ways to measure progress. Knowledge empowers you to interpret these metrics intelligently, adjust your strategy, and optimize outcomes. Without this understanding, efforts can be wasted on routines or diets that do not produce meaningful results. But with insight, each decision becomes purposeful, deliberate, and scientifically informed. You learn not only what to do, but when, how much, and why it matters, creating a roadmap that is far more effective than trial and error. Knowledge also fosters resilience against misinformation and fads. The fitness and nutrition world is flooded with trends, expensive supplements, and conflicting advice, all promising rapid results. Without a foundational understanding, it is easy to become distracted, frustrated, or disillusioned. But with clear knowledge, you can distinguish between what is evidence-based and what is hype, enabling you to focus on interventions that truly matter. This clarity not only saves time and money, but also ensures that your energy is invested in strategies with a proven impact on muscle preservation and overall health. Perhaps most importantly, knowledge creates agency. Recognizing that age-related muscle loss is modifiable rather than inevitable gives you control over your outcomes. Every action, from lifting weights to eating a protein-rich meal, is now informed by science, strategy, and understanding. You are no longer passively observing decline, you are actively shaping your physical reality. This agency is empowering because it shifts the focus from limitations imposed by aging to opportunities created by deliberate, informed choices. It fosters motivation, accountability, and a proactive mindset that is essential for long-term success. Finally, knowledge amplifies confidence. When you understand why your efforts are effective, you are more likely to sustain them, even when challenges arise. The process of combating sarcopenia becomes not a source of fear, but a strategy to reclaim independence, vitality, and quality of life. By arming yourself with knowledge, you unlock the ability to intervene effectively, maximize your body's potential, and ensure that your later years are defined not by decline, but by strength, resilience, and purpose. Starting today rather than tomorrow is the single most transformative decision you can make when it comes to preserving muscle, combating sarcopenia, and reclaiming strength after 60. Delay is the enemy of progress. Every day that passes without action is an opportunity lost, a day in which muscle mass diminishes, functional capacity declines, and independence becomes slightly more precarious. The human body responds to intervention, not intention. While it is easy to fall into the trap of thinking that it's too late or that small changes won't matter, the science consistently demonstrates that even modest, consistent actions taken at any age produce measurable, meaningful improvements. Age is not a barrier, it is simply a factor in the equation. What matters most is the decision to begin, the commitment to act, and the persistence to continue. The power of starting now lies in the compounding effect of consistent, deliberate action. One workout, one protein-rich meal, one intentional choice to move or lift is a signal to your body that it is still valued, still needed, and still capable of adapting. Each repetition, each meal, each decision builds upon the previous one, producing incremental improvements that accumulate into substantial gains over weeks, months, and years. This is not theory, it is biology in action. Muscles do not suddenly weaken overnight, they atrophy gradually, and similarly, they can rebuild gradually, steadily, and predictably when given the right stimulus. The earlier you intervene, the greater the potential to preserve functional capacity and independence, but even delayed action yields benefits. It is never too late to begin, and there is no perfect starting point. Today is always the best day. Psychologically, starting immediately transforms mindset. Procrastination fosters doubt, excuses, and inertia. Taking the first step, however small, shifts the narrative from passivity to agency. It signals to yourself that your health, strength, and independence are priorities, that you are in control of your outcomes, and that aging will not dictate your trajectory. That first action, preparing a protein-rich meal, performing a simple set of resistance exercises, or planning a daily movement routine, creates momentum. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence reinforces adherence. This cycle of action, progress, and reinforcement is what separates those who maintain vitality into their later years from those who succumb to frailty. Immediate action also maximizes physiological opportunity. As we age, muscles experience anabolic resistance, meaning they require more frequent and targeted stimulation to grow or maintain mass. Delaying interventions allows the effects of inactivity, poor nutrition, and hormonal changes to accumulate, making recovery slower and more difficult. Conversely, beginning now leverages the body's capacity to respond to stimulus, rebuild tissue, and improve function. Each protein-rich meal, each strength training session, and each effort to move more compounds, enhancing muscle protein synthesis, improving metabolic health, and restoring functional strength. The body is remarkably resilient, and timely intervention harnesses this resilience for maximal benefit. Starting today is also about empowerment and control. Every day is an opportunity to reclaim agency over your body and your life. You are no longer a passive observer of aging. You are an active participant in shaping your physical, mental, and functional trajectory. Small, consistent actions accumulate into meaningful improvements, and these improvements enhance not only strength, but also independence, confidence, and overall quality of life. Every deliberate choice is a declaration that you will not surrender to sarcopenia, weakness, or dependency. Ultimately, the lesson is simple. Waiting guarantees decline, but starting today initiates transformation. Each meal, each movement, and each deliberate action compounds over time to preserve muscle, maintain independence, and enhance vitality. The path to strength after 60 is built one decision at a time, and the most powerful decision of all is to begin, without delay, without excuses, and with unwavering commitment to your health, your independence, and your life. The journey to reclaiming strength starts the moment you choose action over inaction, and that moment is now.